And a good morning to everybody. Well, assuming it is morning, but good day to everybody. How's everybody doing today? You're tuning in to another episode of Car Musings. How have things been? We're a couple weeks into the New Year's. Well, sorry about the time you're listening to. You're a couple weeks into February. But anyways, we're getting closer to conjoining that gap of episodes versus when they're being recorded. Anyways, hey, I'm your host, Matt Morgan. You're listening to another episode of Car Musings. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope your world is not too shattered, not too shook up from everything that's going on out there. I'm hoping that you're surviving as far as what you need to do to survive. Because, it is a crazy world. It really is. And just keep your head on straight. Is basically all I could say. Keep your head on straight. And be the best person you can be, and don't lose sight of your integrity and the person that you are, because you gotta stay true to who you are. Don't falter from that. If you believe in something, believe in it, but make sure you're not hurting anybody when you do that. Anyways, I know some of you have been emailing me and everything else, messaging me saying, you know what, Matt Morgan, you've been a little bit of a downer lately, and I'm like, well, tough goes for everybody. I mean, not for everybody, but a good portion of us are going through a tough go. I'm going through a tough go. I'm going through a tough go. I've shared it, I've expressed it, I've whined about it, and I got that. But it's not like I'm not making effort. This is my platform, and I'm going to vent. And maybe there's a few that you that are venting along with me, saying, Matt, I understand what you're saying. I got you, brother. You're in it because I'm getting messages on this. I'm getting emails on this, and you guys are sharing it with me, and I appreciate that. But the reality is that yeah, life is tough. It is. It doesn't have to be this tough, but there's the haves and have-nots, and the haves don't want to share with the have-nots. They only want to share with the haves. Because if they share with the haves, they figure they're good until you become a have-not, and then you're kicked to the curb. Just so you know, it's the way it goes. Not supposed to be that way, because people don't have to be assholes. But, people are assholes. Unfortunately. They don't have to be, but a lot of them like to be. Enough said on that one. I think today is going to be a little controversial, because some of you would be like, oh, you can't say that, that's wrong. I'm like, well, screw it. I really don't care, because I'm seeing the state of the world, and I'm seeing how things are going, and I'm gonna put on notice the fact is that, you know what, there's an invasion going on that was purposely set and purposely orchestrated, and it's happening. And I think a lot of us got to get our heads out of the sand and realize that this is an invasion. This was an orchestrated infiltration for all the countries in the world in order to take over. Okay, and mainly I'm talking about the Islamic State. I'm talking about Syrian law. I'm talking about all this bullshit that all these Middle Easterns are coming in, and they're trying to plant themselves into societies and into a society that doesn't know their ways and doesn't do their ways, and they're trying to strong arm their ways into these societies. And they say, well, we should have a right. Well, no, you shouldn't have a right, because it's not your land, it's not your country. You don't belong here. We don't want you here. There's a certain way that societies run. Certain communities run a certain way. We do things a certain way. And when foreign elements that haven't been conditioned and haven't been assimilated into those societies do things completely different, which completely baffles those that are civilized in that society that do things the way that everybody's used to them doing. Like, somebody did a video yesterday about some Somalian or some African origin. Basically, he was fishing. Pennies that you throw in a wishing well to make a wish at malls and stuff like that. He was fishing all this money out of the well. in the middle of a mall, a busy mall. In a busy mall, this guy is fishing all his coins out. And it's like, that's so uncouth. That is so unclassy. That is so not the way things are done. Like, wow. Dude, read the fucking room. Read the fucking room. And it's like a lot of these people that are coming to other countries and trying to implement their ways. No, you were invited as a guest. You were invited to help you out. Okay? You're not doing us a favor. We're doing you a favor by taking you into the fold, taking you into our societies. So don't think you have right to be able to do all this shit. You kind of have to prove yourself because right now you're trying to strong arm and push us into ways that aren't our ways in order to have control. And that's just not going to happen. There's the foundations of thousands of years of people from certain lands that will refuse to give up those lands. So what? You fucked up your country. We don't want your country to be where our country is. We don't want to give you a version 2.0 of your country that failed. So I'm just going to put a notice out that there's going to be wars, and there's going to be internal wars, and there's going to be holy wars, and there's going to be racial wars. There's going to be wars coming. We don't want it. So, you know what? If you're in a foreign land that's not yours, consider packing up and going back to where you came from if you don't want to play by the rules. If you don't want to do things the way that everybody else in that country that took you in is doing stuff, then GTFO, motherfucker. Seriously. GTFO. If you don't like it, fucking leave. Because somebody, if you're not playing by our ways, you're going to want to be removed. If you've assimilated and customized to our ways, great. You can still have your religion, you can still have your faith, you can still have your practices, but don't implement them in our society. Don't force them down our throats into something that you think that we should be doing. That's not how this works. So keep that in mind. Sure, come, live peacefully. Have a good life living in our society. You know, accept your second chances. Open arms and be a good citizen of wherever has taken you in. That's great. Country's taking you in and you're willing to assimilate to their ways, more power to you. If you're not willing to, if you're not looking to change stuff, if you're willing to be a law-abiding citizen, do what everybody else is doing, then great. Welcome aboard. Welcome to whichever country you're in. But as soon as you start coming in trying to change shit, that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. We rather spend our time hating our governments for being failures than hating our neighbors for trying to influence foreign concepts that we're not used to, right? That's just, no. We just don't, we're not going to accept that. It's not going to happen. There's a lot of people cheering on ICE officers, although a lot of them are going beyond what they should be doing, and a lot of them are breaking severe laws and borderline murdering people. But there's going to be more screams for ICE type factions, ICE type, you know, policing in countries all over the world because people are stepping out of line that are being taken in and given refuge in our countries, in our societies, in our homes, and they're abusing it. So, yes. Now, in all fairness, I'm going to state this. If you come from somewhere else and you come to our lands and you're a hardworking, law-abiding, tax-paying, or giving back to the society that took you in and the community and everything else, and you're being a productive, constructive member of society, hell yeah, I want to keep you. I will trade you in for, a dozen of the lazy idiots that were born here. But, people like that I definitely take in. I definitely take in and give them citizenship. As long as they're actually producing and not being friggin' leeches off of the society that took them in, hell yeah, I would give them citizenship in a heartbeat. Because trust me, there's deadbeats that were born in a lot of these countries, born and raised, that frankly don't deserve what they're being given. So, anyways, the reality is that, listen, if you don't like where you're at, fucking leave. Nobody's keeping you here. And if you're here to cause shit, rip off things, break the law, be a mischief, be violence, be all this other stuff, your days are numbered, my friends. Your days are numbered. This is not fucking your Middle Eastern, your middle fucking nowhere third world country that you came from, the streets of friggin' slums. This is not that place. This is a colonialized, structured society with rules and process. So I want you to keep that in mind, that the shit you're trying is not going to fly long term. It might fly in short term, but eventually people will crack down and they will say, hey, no, 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 no. That's not happening anymore. I'm sorry. That's not fucking happening. Not on my watch. Just keep that in mind. As much as you think you got more smarts than all these people, you're going to be sadly mistaken to realizing you don't. So, anyways, that's my message for today. I don't want to about, oh, be fair, oh, it's just racist, blah, blah, blah. It's not racist. Not when you fucking come and break the law is it racist. Okay? Not when you come and break the fucking law. When you come and break the law, you break the law. And you're treated like every other scumbag that broke the law. You don't have a right to come here, leech off the system, drive recklessly, friggin' go into a store, help yourself to whatever you want, treat people like shits, enforce your faiths and your religions, walk around in fucking slippers all day. Like, it's disgusting, but all this stuff, you don't have the right to do all this stuff like that. Like, no. There's a decorum, and there is the part of civilized in civilization, which means you follow a certain way of doing things. And if you don't, please see previous statement of GTFO. This is going to be a short-lived stay for you, and I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be a short-lived stay if you don't smarten the fuck up. You can't play that race card anymore. That's getting fucking thin. Because you know what else is getting thin? All these people that you call racist that are Caucasians and whites and everything else, they're becoming the minority. And guess what, motherfucker? You're going to be the one that's going to be persecuted because you're going to be the majority at that point. And then the roles are going to be reversed. And it's going to be a vicious friggin' cycle. Rinse, repeat. Really? You know, just so you know, shit's got to change. It's got to change. And the less room that's on this planet for everybody, shit's going to change. And it's going to get freaking brutal out there. There's going to be a calling, and it's going to be a calling that you're not going to like. So get in line or GTFO. Simple as that. Get in line or GTFO. I don't want to hear any other excuses. You were not born and raised and bred and everything else in these lands, or if your parents didn't customize you to where you were hatched, although those societies took you in, then you have to make the correction. And I'm not saying everybody does the wrong thing. I'm not saying that everybody steps out of line. In fact, there are people I've met from all over the world that are so happy to be where they're at. I know this one guy. His name's Nav. Well, I'm not sure if that's his full name. Maybe he's Naveed. But anyways, he is from India. And he's young. He's like in his early 20s, but he seems like a really decent guy. And he told me his story, and I was inspired. I was like, wow, that's your story? I said, that's friggin' amazing. So, anyways, he at 18 years old told his parents, he said, you know what? He's like, Mom and Dad, I want to have a better life. I want to do something different. I don't want to grow up in this society that I'm in. I don't want to deal with all this stuff like that. And so he made a point of applying to be a student visa, coming to Canada, going to school, getting an education, but he's never ever for 1 second stop being appreciative of the opportunity that he was given. He is tickled pink about being here to the point where he is embarrassed to be, in some regards, Indian because of the Indians that are doing all this crappy stuff and the rest of, not setting the right example for these people from the people of these origins. Like, he's embarrassed because it's like, wow, these are my fellow country people. These are people that we both came from the same roots, but a lot of us are behaving badly. He's like, wow, that's just sucks. Like, how do you not appreciate an opportunity that has been given to you? You know, how do you not appreciate that a country has taken you in and given you a better life, and you exploit it and you abuse it and you break the law and you scam and you do all this other stuff? Like, that's just fucking bull, he says to me. And I'm like, yeah, well, unfortunately, you see that. And it's unfortunate that not a lot of people where you come from actually do, you know, see it the way you do it and appreciate it the way you do. Because if that was the case and they did appreciate and see it the way you do, we'd be better off for it. We really would. We would all be happy about it. We'd be like tickled pink. Like, wow, that's awesome. You know what? And that's the more people that we need. That recognize it's another opportunity. That recognize be giving an opportunity to recognize and appreciate and value this opportunity of being in a country that's more civilized, not 100% like it used to be, but more structured, provided for, rather than abuse it. I mean, I like hearing those stories that people do appreciate that and recognize that when in Rome, you know, but it's just, it's very frustrating when I see these people that abuse it and I hear the stories of people that abuse it and they're just ruining it. They're ruining it for themselves. Maybe not in the short term because they're scamming and they're freaking living high on the hog, but in the long term, they're just making this country that took them in the crap that they left behind. That's what they're doing. You know, they're going to make it the country that they're running away from. Do you not see how this doesn't make sense? So hang on for 1 second. So you're leaving a country because the country's shit, and country took me in, and I'm turning it into the country I'm leaving. You not understand how this doesn't make sense. Leave your problems where you're running from. Leave it there. Don't bring it to where you're going. That's all I'm going to say. Don't leave it to where you're going. Like, that's not the way you should do it. You should definitely be a little more courteous, a little more considerate. That's just my viewpoint. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am though, because I was born and raised where I'm at, and yeah, I just think that people gotta really get their shit together and think about it. You might benefit from this crime and this devious stuff that you're doing and everything else because you think that the country you're in is a bunch of pushovers and that they're not going to know the difference and know how to protect themselves, but it is not the case. They will fuck you over in the long term. So don't think that wherever you're at, they're shy. Don't think that they're fucking don't know. Don't think that they're uneducated. Don't think that you're smarter than they are. They'll fuck you up because we have ancestors with roots that have survived a hell of a lot. So if you're thinking that you're fucking smarter, you got another thing coming. So smarten up. fly straight, do the right thing, because it will catch up to you. And don't think for a second it won't. It will catch up to you. So smarten up, do the right thing, be better. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. Enough of a rant on this one. I'm your host, Mad Morgan. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Car Musings. I have to go get my haircut. I got to look presentable for potential employers that might actually see all the excellence that I am and get their heads out of their asses and give me a job, for fuck's sakes. But in the meantime, you know what you can do? You can actually help me out. This is Mad Morgan. Or to support us. Throw us a few bucks our way to help our expenses. We'd appreciate that. And other than that, hey, be good to yourself. Be well. And I will see you next episode. Bye for now.